everybody. Welcome back to Beyond the Gate, our Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood podcast. And today we'll be talking about episode 16, Footsteps of a Comrade-in-Arms. I'm Megan.
And I'm Meg.
Welcome to the show.
Yay! So let's get right into it. Summary of the episode. After learning of Hugh's fate, Ed and Al are ravaged by sadness and guilt. Envy still hides in plain sight among the state alchemists, and another homunculus is on the verge of infiltrating their ranks as well.
Yes, and this episode covers the manga chapters 34, The Footsteps of a War Comrade, parts of 35, The Sacrificial Lamb, and a few pieces of chapter 36, Alchemist in Distress. Just an FYI for anyone who is reading along with us, things are pretty scattered for the next couple of chapters. Bits and pieces show up in different episodes. It's mostly chronological. They shuffled a few things, so you might notice some discrepancies.
Yes, I noticed that while I was reading, and I did not read chapter 36 because
there's not
I
too
don't know.
much
It didn't like chapter 35 had so much that wasn't in the episode, and I think that the stuff comes later, so I was like, I didn't want to read ahead.
Yeah, there was just one chunk of chapter 36 that had stuff that happened in this episode. So it's not a big deal.
All right. Well, let's jump into the episode. Ed and Al and Winry arrive in Central, and Ed is annoyed because Lanfan, Fu, and Ling followed them there.
Yeah, and there's a manga scene that was skipped in the anime because I just don't have enough time, but it's really cute. Their interactions on the train are in there. And also, Ed tries to get Lanfan a new mask to replace the one he broke during their battle, and he transmutes one, and it turns out terrible. It's like very gaudy and very Ed's style, but not hers.
Mm-hmm.
So Al makes her one instead.
Yeah, honestly, the mask that he made kind of reminded me of the Blue Spirit mask from
I knew you were going to say that
a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like those ones aren't kabuki masks, but they're like dragon masks, very, very brightly painted, I think. Most of them are. Obviously, it's a manga, it's in black and white. But yeah, it's still kind of a style, an Eastern style, but not the right one. Hers is way more understated. It has like the yin-yang kind of black and white motif to it. So Al got a spot on because he knew what she wanted and made it for her.
Yeah, Ed was just thinking about his own style, which I will say, Ed has style.
He does.
And anyway, they get off the train, and Lanfan and Fu are like frantic. They're like looking for Ling because he is missing
again.
Yeah, he's just disappeared, and then we see him like standing on a building, and he just like makes a little comment like, "Oh, something doesn't feel right." But then we go to Havoc, who is visiting Fulman, who is guarding Barry the Chopper. And it looks like he's like bringing him groceries and other essentials. Yes. And it's Fulman is very bored. He has been playing chess constantly with Barry.
Which Barry keeps losing because Fulman is a genius.
Yeah. And I honestly don't know why, but I love Barry the Chopper because he sees Havoc and he's like the smoking guy.
Yeah, and then he just kind of switches personality as soon as somebody is in like a a relationship with him that's not based on fear. As soon as they're like pals, he just calms down, and he's not a serial killer anymore. He's just one of the guys. Although he does, I heard him ask in this episode, like, "Ooh, can I chop him up?" Like he's like a little kid almost.
Yeah, he is. And then we find out that Fulman he's kind of on a secret mission. He's officially on sick leave, and then we see Colonel Mustang like looking like very evil. And Havoc is telling Fullman that if anybody finds out about what he's doing, he's going to be court-martialed. And
That's kind of an empty threat from Roy. I don't think he would ever fire one of his loyal subordinates.
He just enjoys messing with them.
Yeah.
But then we also Havoc is Havoc. He has a new girlfriend and he's very excited about it. And Fullman is not excited about it. He's just like, get me out of here. Which understandable.
Yes.
But then we find Ling. He has collapsed in the street yet again. And
I think this is his tactic for begging for food.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's like, oh, I need somebody to help me. Okay, I'm just gonna like faint. Like,
yeah, I mean, okay, so I think I have a couple theories for this because in a later episode, which we won't mention, he does faint and it seems real. So I feel like he has a low blood sugar, so he needs to maybe eat a lot. And the second thing is he might be begging for food because he's from Xing. He doesn't have the Amestris currency, which I think is cents or something like that. Like they say it in the manga. So this is like his only option. I feel like he believes, unless he wants to get a job.
Yeah.
Ling.
I don't see Ling getting a job.
Nah.
But this time he's not as lucky as he was the first time he collapsed when Ed and Al find him. This time the military police find him. And they quickly realize that he is an undocumented foreigner and they take him to prison. So good luck, Lan, Fan, and Fu finding him. And then we go back to Ed and Al. They are they're going to visit Hughes, or they want to go visit Hughes. And Winry heads off to see the Hughes family. And it's also just like another knife to the heart because as Ed and Al are walking to the office, they walk past the phone booth.
Where it happened.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Not ready. But
no.
Anyway, then we see Sheska again.
Yay.
She is working very hard. And this other soldier comes in and asks her about the keys to room 3 and that she needs to get in there. And Cheska, I don't know, she freaks out. It's like, oh, you can't go in there. It's such a big mess. Don't come in there. And so then the woman gives up and then Sheska opens the door and we see Colonel Mustang sleeping among a pile of books.
Yeah. He's got a little 5 o'clock shadow. When he wakes up, he looks terrible. He's got bags under his eyes and he looks very disheveled.
Yes, he's been studying hard. And then he leaves. He said he's got to go to some meeting. And then we meet, I don't know if we've met this guy yet. Or if we have, it's really brief. But we meet this other military personnel. His name is Captain Fokker.
Gotta enunciate that O.
Did I say
no,
it? Okay?
You're good.
Okay.
We don't want to be labeled as explicit, folks.
Yeah. I feel like I said that kind of weird, but because I'm trying not to say it in the other way. Anyway, so he asks Sheska what Colonel Mustang was researching, and she tells him that he was looking into the 5th laboratory and Hugh's death, which I don't know, it kind of surprised me that she did. Maybe just because
she doesn't know what's going on. She's very low in the ranks. But
that's true. But
yeah, she needed someone to confide in too, I think, because she looked very worried about Mustang, worried about the goings on at the military, and she also really liked Colonel Hughes because he was the person who got her job, and she spent a lot of time with him, so she misses him.
Yeah. So after getting that information, the captain walks away. and we see him turn into envy.
Yep.
And then the real captain shows up.
Or
And
actually, to
oh, okay.
edit that a little bit, when he's walking away, he sees the real captain coming towards him, and you don't see him change into envy. You just see another blonde officer walk by, and there's just like this little red lightning that just comes off of him. So you get the sense like, shape-shifting.
I think I missed that part because I was like writing notes, and then I looked up
You were
and
scribbling
like,
furiously while I was staring at the screen.
Yes. Yeah, and then the real captain shows up, and Sheska's like surprised, like, wait, what just happened? Does this guy have like short-term memory loss? Anyways, Roy is freshening up in the bathroom, trying to look presentable, and then we just see like Armstrong head like just pop up over the bathroom stall, and he just tells Roy what he's been up to. He was in the South, fighting in the South, and he saw the Elrics, but did not tell them about Hughes.
He didn't want to tell the boys, kind of out of pity for them, because they would blame themselves, and Roy kind of admonishes Armstrong for it, but then he gets a little smile, and he's like, you wanted to protect them, so he understands why, and he's like, oh, you're big softy.
Yeah, but then as Armstrong is leaving the bathroom, Mustang kind of confronts him about the fifth laboratory and all the stuff that went down, which kind of surprises Armstrong, and he's like, well, you've been busy in Central, finding out what's been going on. But then Armstrong, he doesn't really actually say too much. He just warns him to be careful what he says. Basically, like, you don't know who you can trust.
Where have we heard that before?
I don't know. We see Hawkeye waiting for Roy, and that's when the Elrics arrive, and Ed is annoyed that Roy is here. He's like, why are you here, bro? And Roy tells him that he was transferred to Central like a month ago.
Oh, congratulations, Colonel.
Yeah. Which a month ago, that kind of surprised me, because it doesn't seem like that much time has passed. But actually in the manga, it does say that he was transferred a few days ago. So I don't know why they like changed that. Yeah.
Yeah, and also something different from the manga is that when Ed and Al go to the headquarters, Winry is actually with them. And I thought this was a funny part, but Winry's with the boys when they see Mustang, and Mustang goes up to her, and it's like little text in the background while the boys are talking to Riza, but he goes, wow, what a cute little girl. I'm Roy Mustang, and my rank is Colonel. What? You've met me before? I remember your cute face now, but I didn't recognize you at first because you've become so beautiful and grown up. I bet you have to fight off all the boys wherever you go, right? Come see me anytime you need any advice. Ha 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 ha.
Yes, and Ed did not appreciate. He looked very annoyed.
What a playboy.
Yeah. And okay, kind of creepy, but I'll let it slide, I guess.
I guess he was just kind of.
I mean, I think he was just like, yeah, but I don't know. I mean,
Riza he was right there too.
Because that's, I don't know.
We all know he only has one girl on his mind.
Do we know that yet?
Oh, come on.
So, while they're talking with Roy and Hawkeye, the Elrics say that they are there to see Hughes, and of course, Roy's like, ooh. But he lies, and he says that Hughes has retired to the countryside with his family. And then as he's walking away, he kind of turns around and warns Ed not to do anything crazy, which Ed is, I don't know, he's kind of confused by, and he's like, okay, bro.
Yeah. He seemed like so childlike when Mustang caught him off guard too, because he had like this angry kind of persona about him, and then Roy warns him, and Ed just kind of goes, "Oh yeah, okay," kind of like a kid, not being admonished, but like a kid and their teacher, and like the teacher correcting them or something. I don't know. That's what it reminded me of.
And as Mustang and Hawkeye are walking away, Mustang kind of like laughs and he's like, "Hi, I guess I'm soft like Armstrong," but Hawkeye says he's just cruel. Um, and so Ed and Al decide to leave right then and tell Winry that Hughes isn't there because she went off to see his family. And that's when Maria Ross comes up and the Elric say they've just heard about Hughes, and of course she thinks that they heard that he's dead. And so she's like, "Oh yeah, it's so sad. But he got a good send off, and they even like promoted him." The Elrics are like, "Oh, that's why did they promote him even though when he went to the countryside?" And then like you just see on Ross's face that she's made a mistake. And then Ed and Al like
They figure it out.
Yeah, they figure it out, even though I don't think it's ever said explicitly, but they figure it out.
Yeah. Well, Ross explains later, like you hear her words during like a flashback Ed's having, and she explains how he died, or not the specifics, but that he passed away. And them finding out about his death is different in the manga, and it's a little jarring because Al actually reads about Hugh's death in the newspaper, and he rushes into his and Ed's hotel room. He's like, "Ed, you've got to read this." And Ed can't believe it at first, and he's shocked, so he wants to confirm it for himself. So he and Al run out to go see if it's true. And they accidentally leave their door unlocked to the room, and Winry walks in and finds the paper, and that's when she learns about the death, and she goes to see Mrs. Hughes and Alicia. Which, how would you like to find out that? Like, imagine a family member suddenly passed away and nobody could get a hold of you, and you just saw it in like the obituaries in the paper.
Yeah, that would be terrible. And I do actually kind of like it. I like it better the way they did it in the anime. Like
because it's a personal,
just kinder.
Kind of, Ross is there for them. It's so hard to just read about it. It's better when you have somebody with you to grieve with, them to explain it to you.
Yeah. But then after Ed and Al find out, Ed just takes off. He goes running, and you just hear him in his head like, "It's all my fault. It's all my fault. It's all my fault." And then it's so sad because having like flashbacks of like how kind and awesome Hughes has been to him, and it's just like,
sure, twist the knife deeper. Ouch.
Yeah, and it's so sad. And also he does really remind me of a kid in this, and like you see like in this moment like he is a child.
Speaking of twisting the knife in further, let's see what Winry's up to.
Yeah, good transition.
Hey.
Winry is buying apples because she's gonna make a pie, and then she goes to see the Hughes family, and Alicia opens the door and she's like, "Daddy," which, come on, guys,
ow,
please stop.
It hurts.
And then Winry figures it out, or you know.
Well, at least she's got Mrs. Hughes to soften the blow.
And Ed and Al, they also head to the Hughes, like they said they were going to. And Ed wants to take the blame for what happened, like all by himself, but Al won't let him do that on his own. Basically, like, "We're in this together, brother," which is very sweet. And I also really like what Al says too, is that like he doesn't want his body back if people are gonna die.
They're willing to lose everything to help others because they know that the situation they're in with their bodies, it's because of a mistake they made. And while they're determined to fix it themselves, and while they're willing to accept help from others, they never wanted that to get in the way of other people living their lives, and they don't want to mess things up for anyone else.
Yeah. And they go to talk with Gracie and Winry, and they tell them basically, what happened and why Hughes died. And it's just so sad because Ed he keeps saying sorry, it's all my fault. And you see his body start to shudder, it looks like he's crying, but he doesn't actually cry. And I think at least for me, I noticed Winry kind of clocks that, she sees how sad he is, but also he's not actually crying.
Yeah,
He still
you can hear the raw emotion in his voice, but there are just no tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, I know at least for me, if I haven't cried in a while, even when I want tears to come, they won't because you're just not used to it.
Yeah.
I think he's repressed his feelings for so long that he's almost forgotten how to cry.
So after Ed kind of finishes telling them what happened, Gracia basically is well, putting things together, and so his death was a message to you guys and everybody else to stop looking into this. And she's trying to comfort them, and she says there's no surprise that Hughes died because he was helping someone else, and he never had any regrets, which I think that's probably a fair statement.
Yeah.
And then she tells the boys not to give up and to keep moving forward any way they can. I don't know. It's very sweet, and she is a strong woman, because that would be so hard to hear about why your husband died, and then have to comfort the people who it's not Ed and Al's fault for sure, but
comfort they kind of who led him on this path.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Her words to them kind of reflect Ed's words of the whole get up, move, use your 2 feet.
Yep.
So I feel like her reminding him of that, he's yeah, gotta just keep going.
Yeah, but then when the Elrics and Winry leave, you can hear Ed hears Gracia crying as they leave. It's just
ow,
so sad, and I just don't have anything to say. There is no words.
There are no words for this.
This
pain.
And then we just see everyone is sad. Ed and Al are sad. Winry is sad. And Ed. Well, first we see Ed. He's eating a lot of food.
He's in the dining hall of the hotel. And he's got a humongous steak in front of him.
Teenage boy. And then he goes to check on Winry, which is really sweet, because he's "Did you eat? You need to eat." And then she's kind of doesn't want to. But then she grabs Ed's hand, his automail arm hand, and she brings him inside her room, and she's explaining to him that she wanted to make an apple pie for Hughes, and she just bursts into tears, and I don't know, it's another very sad, sad moment, but also sweet.
Yeah.
Because it is I like that they're not alone. They can grieve together, which I think is important.
Yes. I feel really bad for Al though, because that poor kid can't cry, as we've already established. I feel like he has more dulled reactions to things than Ed does. One, because Ed is more impulsive, so I think his feelings come out right away, and Al's probably more of the processor, maybe silent griever. I mean, he obviously cries. I mean, no. not cries, sorry. He obviously handles pain in his own way, but because he doesn't have a body and he doesn't have the five senses that we do, I think things are a little slow to impact him, if that's a fair theory.
Mm,
And I think that is discussed in 2003 FMA a little bit.
yeah, they don't really address it
Yeah,
too
the
much
struggles of
here.
having the body that he has.
Yeah, yeah. But then we switch gears from this grief to lust and gluttony. They are surrounded by a bunch of chimeras, and they're talking with a soldier who then turns into envy.
And might I say, the animation on his hair is amazing.
Megan will have a lot to say about that.
I just love it when he transforms. He shapeshifts and his
It
hair
is
just
very
goes
cool.
poof.
Yeah. So they're discussing Mustang and how he's getting kind of nosy. Then they mention that the reason that he came to Central is because they moved him here to keep a closer eye on him. But I think that seemed like it may have been a mistake because he is finding out a lot of stuff that they don't want him to know. And then they mention again that he is this sacrifice, a human sacrifice, that he would be a good candidate. So they need to keep him distracted. And then Les mentions that she has this new boyfriend who can help her find out what Mustang is up to, but Envy doesn't think that is enough to keep him distracted to keep tabs on Mustang. So he suggests that they make a new play to distract the Colonel. And then we find out what that new play is, like immediately. We see Maria Ross, she's hanging out, I don't know, it looks like in the
Mess hall.
Yeah, yeah. And then we see these like military personnel come up to her and they ask her to hand over her gun and they tell her that she's a prime suspect in Hugh's murder. And of course she pleads not guilty and but then Colonel Mustang sends Hawkeye to investigate because of course he's very invested in finding the real killer of his friend. And then the final scene, we see Havoc getting flowers for his girlfriend, and then we see that Lust is his girlfriend.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I think her name is Solaris or something.
Solaris.
Solaris, yeah, I can't.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And that
makes
is
me
the
think of
end.
solar, like sun.
Yeah.
Sun god Leto, falsehood, something related, maybe. I don't know.
And then that's the end of the episode.
Woo.
Not like a lot happened, but also like not a lot happened.
Kind of a break from the main action,
yeah.
but a lot of information was given for the characters to find out. We already knew, Hughes is gone, but now the Elrics have kind of caught up with everybody else at Central. It's really sad that. So I mentioned this when Meg and I were writing notes and stuff, but I have had important information withheld from me before regarding not a death in that instance, but something kind of sad. And when somebody finally told me, I felt terrible because my mind replayed all the times I probably said some offhand comment that would have been hurtful, maybe even offensive to the person in question. And they didn't want to tell me at first because they were trying to process it themselves and they didn't want me to feel bad, I guess. But they had to tell me eventually, and that was kind of, I don't know. I don't know if it's best to wait or to tell somebody right away. I'm usually a fan of telling people right away.
Yeah, I think it's best to tell right away. I don't there's nothing worse than like everybody knowing something except for you.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know, it just gives you like a icky feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't like it. And also like, in this case we see like when Ed and Al and Winry, they all find out together and then they have a chance to like grieve together, where if everybody else knows and then you find out on your own,
That's the
you're kind of,
worst.
it feels like you're alone, kind of.
All right, now that the show notes are over, we'll get into the extra stuff. So, voice actor notes. We decided to do Gene Havoc and Vato Fulman. I think that's how you say Fulman's first name. They don't say it that often, so I wouldn't know. But Gene Havoc is played by Mark McFarland, who is also John Kirsten from Attack on Titan, his name is John, but the first name is spelt the same as Gene's, so it's hilarious, and the character actually looks a lot like Havoc. So
Yeah.
great. Masahiro Ojiro from My Hero Academia, and Ritsu Soma from Fruits Basket. That one shocked me. I can't hear it.
Yeah, it is surprising.
I think it's because he screams most of his lines.
Very different character.
Yes. And then Fullman is played by Kyle Hebert. Sorry, Kyle, I butchered that. Who plays Fat Gum from My Hero Academia. Katsuhiko Teshigawara, or Teshi from Your Name, and Mitsubi Jarnok from Attack on Titan. Did I say that right, Meg?
I don't know, because I don't know. It's been too long since I watched.
So, name meanings. Gene, or how Lust pronounces his name, Jean, is of English origin, and it means God is gracious. And Vato is of Spanish origins. It means like buddy, or you could say guy, dude, man, etc. So, buddy
I love
Fulman.
that. Yeah,
Man
I love
Fulman.
Man Fulman.
Yeah, I feel like most of Roy's gang, like their last names are self-explanatory, except for Breda. I'd have to look up his, but you got Gene Havoc, causing havoc, Riza Hawkeye, Roy Mustang, and Kane Fury, just really cool last names.
Yes, on the nose.
Yes, yeah. Except Fury, he's so sweet. I don't really see that one fitting him as much, but I don't know. Maybe he's hiding some inner turmoil or something. Moving on to animation, the characters, especially Ed, are portrayed to show how young they really are. From Ed running away when he hears about Hughes' death, to Mustang not being able to hide how tired he is. So just, I don't know, maybe it has something to do with the voice acting too, but I feel like in the animation, just the posture they had, the action poses they took, things like that, said a lot for like the characters. A philosophical analysis, just in general, dealing with the news of a death, like how you react to it, how you handle it, how you reach out to others and try to move forward or don't move forward. Story elements analysis. This episode slowed down a bit so that we could process a death. Something that a lot of stories unfortunately don't do. I feel like other shows just kind of blaze through even if an important character dies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like then the next episode it's like, okay, on to the next thing.
And you're still suffering. Because I don't know about you, but even if it's a minor character, if they die, my heart just breaks.
Yeah. No.
Takes me like a full day to recover.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
or if it's to your eternity, it takes me like a week.
Sorry, I don't get it yet.
You will.
One day. What was your favorite line of the episode?
Mine came from Gracia. Don't tell me you're going to give up. You can't let what happened defeat you. And I think that was very encouraging. And what was your favorite line?
Mine was from Hawkeye when she's talking with Mustang about not telling the Elrics that Hughes is dead. And she says, I fail to see anything soft about it. It's cruel, Colonel. And that just, I think, fits in well with what we just discussed, is like keeping news from people. keeping important news from people, how that can be destructive.
Yeah, and that's kind of what our moral of the episode was. Hiding information can be harmful. It's kind of along the lines of honesty is the best policy, but also breaking news to people with diplomacy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, making sure you're there for them is the most important part. Like, tell the truth, but make sure you're there. Don't just leave them with that. Help comfort them and guide them through. And the people who pushed the story forward this episode, Ross did because she told the boys what happened to Hughes, and then Gracia was another big part of the episode. She encouraged them after they found out.
Yeah, to keep moving forward. But you know what that reminds me of? You've seen Meet the Robinsons, right?
Keep moving forward.
And I just think of like the one where it's like they say it 1,000, keep moving forward, like, and then he like opens up a little fortune cookie, says keep moving forward, and like, yay. You just have that like scene going through my mind.
It's a good motto.
Anyway, yeah, it is.
Although I would add to that, keep moving forward. Don't forget to look back.
Yes, I would also agree. Remembering the past is a good thing because it helps you make better choices in the future.
Exactly.
And, I don't know. There can be awesome things in your past that you want to remember.
Awesome.
All right.
That's it for this episode.
Yeah. Follow us on Instagram at Full Metal Beyond the Gate. And you can DM us with any questions or comments, or also send us an email. And check out our YouTube channel. We've been uploading some fun Full Metal stuff. Yeah. Check that stuff out. And we will be back next week with another episode.
Woohoo!
Yay!